case. Yeah, perfect. So thank you for that, Lavinia. What a lovely introduction. And you're right, you know, when we connect with people that we can resonate with, like I know when I met you physically for the first time, because we would have known each other before that, it was a bit like a clash of the universe, wasn't it? It was a bit like soul sisters connecting. So it's lovely to be part of this group. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of everybody when I say thank you for all you've done so far in this group. It's wonderful to be part of the whole balance connection, because you're giving us an opportunity to have that time to reflect, and particularly in this pillar of looking at ourselves and finding out more about ourselves and starting to, I hope, connect with who we are and like ourselves even more and build that confidence and build that understanding. And I think numerology, when we bring that into the mix, gives another level of clarity and understanding of what's going on. So as I'm going through it, please feel free to interrupt me if you want to, or we can have this as more of a conversation flow if you want to, Lavinia. But how did I find out about numerology? It was so strange because, first of all, I don't think anybody's ever heard of numerology until they hear about it. I know that. But I had no idea of what was going on in my own life, that numerology was having such a big impact in it. So when I connected with it, it was about 19 or 20 years ago. And it was like that. That is a true story. Margaret Nayland, she's since passed away now. Our anniversary was last week, 4 years. And I miss her because every year I go to her or have gone to her for my personal year reading. So we built up a lovely relationship over 10 or 12 years where I went every year just before my birthday for my personal reading with her. And I'll tell you a bit more about that personal year in a moment. So when I was connected with her, she did angel readings and she wrote a lovely book called Angel Magic. And my mom had given it to me as a gift one Christmas. And I opened it and went, oh my God, this is what I need. I was going through huge challenges in my personal life and looking for answers nearly, under the mat. Wherever I could go, I was looking for answers. I was getting closer, but I wasn't really getting the full clarity of what I was looking for. So I got these really vivid dreams. Now I'm a life path number 9, and vivid dreams would be a given with life path number 9. There's that whole spiritual connection with it. And a lot of the dreams I was getting, unknown to myself at the time, were big, big life messages. And they were getting stronger and stronger until I was getting to the point where I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So I connected with Margaret and she started to send back what was like novels of the dream interpretation. And everything was making sense until she'd say, what year are you in? As if I knew about numerology and what she was talking about. And like that, I'd say, like, I'm in 2001. What year are you in? And she'd come back and go, sorry, I mean, when was your birthday? And I'd say, 24th of March, whatever the year. Okay, you're in year 2 or you're in year 3. And this is why this is happening. And the more she was doing that, I was kind of getting in tune with wanting to find out more. So she said, you should come to me for a numerology reading. Now, my first reaction to that was, what? No, I'm desperately looking for answers. And am I going to find them in numerology? I don't think so. I felt I was clutching at straws and thinking, am I really that desperate to find an answer that I'm going to drive an hour and a half out to County Cavan for this woman to do something around my date of birth and numbers? And I kept putting it off. Now, I do know now I was putting it off because the timing wasn't right. And I wasn't at that point of it. But each time she kept mentioning it. And at the time, I was struggling a lot with finances. I was struggling a lot with raising 2 young babies and my marriage was ending. I was in a big struggle. And I really thought, if this happens and it doesn't work, I don't know where I'm going to turn now, because I felt like I had tried everything. So I rang my dad and I said, Dad, could I borrow £100 off you? Or I don't even think euros were in at that stage. And he said to me, of course you can, love. Now, I already owed him about a lot more than that. And I was like, this is the last time. I just need £50 to get me to Cavan and £50 to pay for the reading. And then I know I'll be sorted. And I remember driving out to her and thinking, I'll give it a shot. And I don't know whether this is going to do what it says it does. And am I so glad that I drove to see Margaret that day? Because when she did the reading with me and she explained everything, it was like somebody switched a light on. And what people sometimes think about numerology is that it's fortune telling, or that it's psychically going to tell you everything that you can do for the rest of your life. It's not. It's a roadmap that if you choose to follow, you can go with the flow as opposed to going against the grain. And that's what it highlighted for me. But one of the biggest things that she said in that reading was that I would become a numerologist and I would be doing the work that she's doing with people. It was the furthest thing from my mind at that time. And it took about 4 or 5 years before I actually got into the flow of it. And what I realized when I started to do numerology and learn and understand it, and I did a one-to-one course with her over, probably over 12 weeks. And then on top of that, we did tarot cards, because I would use tarot cards when I do a one-to-one reading, follow it up with kind of a 6-card reading for my clients. And I studied that with her. And what I found was this all came very naturally to me. It was like as if I'd already done it before, which I have no doubt I have already done it before. But it's like, it just went with the flow. So I worked on it for myself. I knew where I was with my life path. I knew where I was with my personal year. But what was really intriguing for me was I knew where I was with my inner need. And again, we'll talk about that later. But the inner need is the number you get from your name. And it's using the vowels that are in your name to get that. So everybody will know me as B. Flanagan. And everybody who knows me or has only met me in the last 15 to 20 years would know me as B. Flanagan. But anybody who knew me before that, and I have to say it, even though it doesn't sit with me now, but my name was Bernadette. So everybody would have known me as Bernadette Flanagan. Now, thankfully for me, I didn't change my name when I got married, because I would have changed a huge amount around the numbers. I kept my own maiden name. So when I changed my name to B, everything changed as well. So when we look at numerology from our life path, our spirit chose to be born on the day that we were born, whether we were premature or overdue. That was the lessons that we were to come into the life with. There's no changing on that. Our birthday will always be our birthday, unless if you're like my cousin who just discovered, who's nearly 50, her mother said, you're actually born on the 29th of December, not the 28th. Sorry about that. I mean, it's only one number, but it changes everything.
That's very Irish, though. That's very Irish.
Say she's not alone in that, you know. But you can change your name. And so when we understand the importance of the name in the whole mix of numerology, then we can get a real handle on embracing what our life lessons are through our life path and our personal year. So when I came away from that and started working on it for myself, it took time. And that's the beauty about numerology. You can plan to do things around your timing, at your pace. And that knowledge stops, I believe, the fear and the worry and the anxiety that we get sometimes about not achieving what we wanted to and not reaching the goals that we thought we should have at a certain time. So it gives great aspects to, again, might sound like a contradiction. You know, as a coach, when I work with people, we're working about setting goals and seeing things that they want to achieve, but it's very much about being in the moment so that you can be in the right headspace to see where you're going. So that's a contradiction, but it's with numerology, it's like you're in this year, whatever your year will be, but you can plan where you want to be next year and where you want to be the year after and where you want to be the year after at a pace that goes with what you are, your life path, and not what somebody else's life path is. If that makes a little more sense as well. So when I started to practice it, you know, it was very, very surreal for people when I was talking about numerology, because they're like, what are you on? You know, and people would have slagged me. You know, it was, you know, think back to 20 years ago in Ireland and you're talking about numerology. People just thought I was crazy. What do you mean you're in year 3? And what do you mean, you know, and one of my sister's ex-boyfriends at the time used to have great fun slagging me and go, what day is it today? What number day is it today be? Should I do this or should I do that? And I used to really try to convince people how great numerology was, because I was in the early stages of going, this really works. But I soon got to realize it's not about whether other people get it or not. For me, it was about me getting it. And then connecting with what my life path was all about, so that I could then share that knowledge to who and with who would like to hear it, not just Annie Joe Soap going across the road. So I became more confident in who I was because I saw it working for me. And then I felt I really need to share this. And it was the first step to doing a first reading with somebody. It would have been maybe friends or family or friends of friends, and saying, I'll do a reading with you. And I was getting more excited the more I was doing them, because I could see what we were talking about was resonating with people. But the funny part of it was, my sister, who's now 32, so at her 21st, her boyfriend at the time, we were standing talking in the pub, and he was like, so what do you do, whatever. And I said, oh, I'm a numerologist. And, I was delighted with myself. And he said, oh my God, that is amazing. And that was the first time I ever got a reaction like that. I was going, oh yeah. And he actually thought I said I was a neurologist. Just went off on a whole other, and then I went, how do I pull this back? Sorry, no, it's the science of numbers, not neurology. But the more and more I started doing it, it became really clear for me that when I embraced what my life lessons were, and I got through every year focusing on what I wanted to focus on, life started to flow. The challenges were still there, absolutely. But how we managed, for me, how I managed the challenges were far easier, because I knew I'm a life path number 9. I'm in year 4 or whatever it might be at the time. My inner need is 4. These things are screaming at me because this is my life path, and I'm not connecting to what I'm supposed to be connected to. So the more it became clear, the easier it was to follow. And now, I almost, it's such an intrinsic part of who I am that I almost forget that I'm driven by numerology, because it's just so natural now. But when I work with clients from a coaching perspective, I will always ask them their date of birth. Under GDPR and all of that, of course, it's all clear in that. But I'd say, even if they don't want to do numerology, and it's not, you see, numerology is not fortune telling, as I said. So I can't read into somebody by their numbers, but I can tell what's going on for them and help guide them to where they could be missing an opportunity.
I would agree totally with that. And that often when I work with people as well, without a similar thing, I would find out what their life path number was. And especially if I had 2 people come, like a couple, and it really helped me help them, because by understanding their numbers, I could understand how they might, not necessarily, but how they might respond, or what they needed or what they didn't need. And so we kind of did it with them. And again, they took it on board. It was an easy way for them to almost see their traits that could be causing problems in that relationship or whatever. But again, like as you said, it's a roadmap. It's just something else. Sorry, I'm
no. And when we're on the direction, like we will go down a different road now and again, or we will choose something that maybe isn't sitting with us right, but we feel we have to. And it's those experiences that allow us to bounce back in and go, actually, this is, I knew I should have stayed here, or this is where I really want to be. So we've got to test it a few times for sure. But what from a parenting point of view, as a parent, it has given me huge clarity and insight into my children when I look at their life path numbers, and to see what's going on for them. And it's interesting because everybody here will have been born in 19 something, but anybody who's born after 2000, it changes everything. So our young people now have a whole different, where that 19, so say I'm 1971 is when I was born. So 19 and 7, 1. So I've 1 and 8, which is 9. But if I was born in 2008, I've got that 2 that comes down, not the 1 and 9 that becomes 1. So it changes the aspects of what 1 is for that 1971 and what 2 is for 2000. So just to have a little bit of insight into where our young people are going to experience challenges, that too is going to give them a lot of challenges around decision making, choices, also being able to lead as opposed to follow. And there is an element of that feeling of victim, that victim consciousness will come in with the 2 for our young people. It's not saying they'll all feel it, but it's just to be aware. So my daughter was born in 1998, so she's part of that 9, the 1 and 9, whereas my son was born in 2001 and he's got the 2. And my God, can I see the differences in that? So it's an awareness of it. Also with the name is another awareness to understand. But my son Ryan would be the same as yourself. He has a life path number 11. And for him, he's the 13th of the 4th, 2001. And with an 11, often 11 can be the life path number. Not always, but often can be the life path number for twins because of those 2 1s as well. And Ryan is a womb twin survivor. He would have been a twin pregnancy. So having that understanding of that, again, albeit challenging for Ryan and for me all through those years, has given me great clarity as well and great understanding for what he's going through and obviously his own life lessons. And it was great when he turned 18 because as a mother, I was able to step back and go, you're 18 now. You couldn't wait to be 18 for the last 10 years to be 18. I can't control your decision making anymore. I can't control, I can help and support, but I can't control. So that would be, aspects of what he's going to learn from that as well.
It's so interesting. It really is. And I saw when you were mentioning that the life path can be a twin, I saw Betty nodding and smiling. So obviously that resonated there. But yeah, so it is very interesting. So do you want to take us through a little bit about each of the life paths, or what would you like to do?
So the life path, I'll give an overview of that, and everybody who already is here knows their life path number. So the life path numbers run from 1 to 9, as we say, and your booklet is amazing, Lavinia, giving great overview and great insight. And I'm sure all of the ladies have ticked at it and resonated with stuff and gone, oh my God, that's me, that makes sense, and all of that. It's the only time then that we go to the 11, and I'm going to come back to the 11 when we talk about the master numbers too. So in numerology, we add all the numbers to get that one single digit. So life path number 1 and so on up to number 9. The same happens with the personal year, and I'll just talk about the 2 together and come back to the life path. So the personal year runs in cycles of 9-year cycles. So every year we go into a new year of our 9-year cycle. When we get to year 9, that's the end of that cycle, and we move into a new year, a new 9-year cycle. And often people ask me, does it start at number 1, the 9-year cycle? Is it, are we born? Yes, if you're a life path number 1, it starts at 1. But if you're a life path number 9, you come in on year 9 of your 9-year cycle. If you're a life path number 7, you come in at year 7 of that current 9-year cycle, even though you haven't had the previous 6 years. But I think with numerology, it's really when you get to your mid-20s, late 20s, that you can resonate with it, because it doesn't have huge impact before then. And obviously, you're not going to talk to a 12-year-old about their numerology reading but if you know about it, you can help them and support them as a parent. And sometimes, with my PALS program, and I'm in schools with students, sometimes I'll mention numerology just to see how they react to it. And if they're distracted and they're not interested in anything I'm speaking about, I'll go, right, okay, who wants to tell me when their birthday was? I'll give you a little bit of insight into where you are in your 9-year cycle. And they'll all of a sudden go, oh, tell me more. And they want to know. So sometimes it is nice to give that little bit of insight. So with the 9-year cycle, every 9 years, you're going to start again. And what we hope is that we've had some learning from the previous year one in the previous 9-year cycle by the time we come to the next 9-year cycle in year one, and so on. But it depends on when you discover numerology. And it depends on what year you're in when you discover numerology. And I don't mean 2020, what your personal year is. So when you discover where you are, you can have an opportunity to reflect back when you understand your 9-year cycle, and go forward when you think about where you want to go. So if you think they're similar, the life path numbers and the personal year numbers are similar, but different. Now, again, I contradict myself in that, but they're similar, but it's the action that we take is going to be different, because you can be a life path number 1 in year 1 and right up to year 9. So when you think of the power of what your life path number is, that will have an impact of what you do in each year of your 9-year cycle. So I'll give a brief over the life path, because I know everybody's got a good insight into that, but just to kind of remind everybody. But then we look at calculating what year we're in our current 9-year cycle. Some of us may be in the same year. It depends on what way the numbers add up for you. So a life path number 1, to just add to what you've already said, so it's going to be slightly different because it's coming from a different perspective. But a life path number 1 is going to be a very independent, a very innovative, very forward-thinking person. But the challenge is, because we live in a society of duality, for every positive, there will be a negative. And it's not about ignoring the negative and focusing on the positive. It's more about understanding the negative or where the challenge comes, so that you can address it in a positive mindset to move forward. So what can sometimes be a challenge for a life path number 1 is too independent, nearly cutting themselves off, loving your own company, which I know we all do, but loving it to the detriment of not wanting to be out and interacting with others. Life path number 1s will always be managers, leaders, you know, the innovators, the CEO of company. You might go across and do a little test and see that a lot of them would be number 1. And very much probably eccentric as well. You know, a life path number 1 could be very eccentric. They're happy in their own being as well. When you move to a life path number 2 would be a person who would be very much about a follower. You know, so you'll have, if it's in a corporate environment, you'll have the assistant manager would be a number 2, or the assistant coach in certain things. So you'll find that they're really good in what they do, but they like to follow the leader. 2 also is very much about choices and decisions. So as a 1 would be very decisive, a number 2 life path could have a challenge around decisions. Now, the one thing to remember, because they'll come up in the master numbers as well, the one thing to remember, when a number is repeated, it emphasizes the lessons that number is going to give you. So if we're not understanding numerology and we don't know where we are and we have numbers repeated, it just means the emphasis on the challenges is going to be double.
I don't understand that, Brie. What's that? What do you mean by that? Sorry.
Okay, so when a number is repeated, it emphasizes the lesson that's in the number.
Okay.
Okay. So if we're not aware of numerology, which I know everybody here is, but let's think about before you were aware of it. It emphasizes the lesson with double the power. Or if you have 3 of a number, that's triple the power.
Okay.
So without the awareness, it means it's 3 times the challenges.
Okay.
So for example, a life path number 2 has a challenge around decision making and choices, but has a 2 somewhere else in that whole triangle of numbers that we have in the life path. And another one, it's really going to be challenging then to make a decision. They'll be hopping in and out. They might not even be able to decide on whether to have tea or coffee. Like, it's that detailed where the decision making might come. So when we do the master numbers, we'll talk about that repetition. But what I always love to see is several of the 1 number, because I'm like, right, if we can break this down and show where the aspects of that number is going, and if you've 2 of them or 3 of them and you understand it, now you've got the power, the positive power of 2 and the positive power of 3. And it's like, bring it on, because there's great it does exactly what it says on the tin, numerology. You get great clarity into and great peace with it. It's like, it makes sense. Now I know why I'm where I am and what I'm doing, as opposed to that confusion that can happen. So when you go into a life path number 3, 3 is very much about creativity and expression and having the opportunity to express how you feel through creativity. So whether it's singing, dancing, laughing, crying, cooking, gardening, all of that is very powerful around the life path number 3. There's a fine line between expression and depression. So it's important to always feel that you can express yourself if you're a life path number 3. Now, if you can't say it to somebody else, writing it down, poetry, writing a song, keeping a journal, all of that's very powerful. It's very powerful for all of us, but particularly if you're a life path number 3. Life path number 4, and 4 is all about empowerment and security, particularly around financial security and strength. You know, there's a strength in that. Fearlessness with that life path number 4 when you're aware of it. When you're not aware of it, number 4 life path can bring a lot of challenges around fear-based decision making and worry and anxiety about financial security. So again, it's just having the 2 sides to look at so that you're informed with how you can move forward with it. Life path number 5, all about variety and having lots of different, variety is the spice of life, as they say. So having lots of different things to be part of. So a life path, we got somebody there? A life path number 5 would be very much about, maybe involved in lots of different things, but the challenge could be that avoiding completing certain things because involved with a lot of different things. Life path number 5, following on from the 4, the 5 is very much about embracing the fear of change or the fear of conflict. You may find if you're a life path number 5, without even awareness, that you sit on the fence and, you don't want to rock the boat. It's easier to say nothing. But is it really? Because a lot of the time you're not being true to yourself if you're saying nothing. So that's a life path number 5. A life path number 6, if we've any 6s out there, 6 is all about that kind of embracing love and abundance and having a real people connector is life path number 6, like being involved at socializing out and, just loving being part of the crowd nearly. And I suppose in this current environment, for anybody who is a life path number 6, they may be struggling with that they're not part of the group and out socializing and being part of that extra kind of extension that you might have. 6 is also very much about self-confidence and self-belief and self-acceptance. And when I said earlier on that your spirit chose to be born the day that you were born, whether you were premature or overdue, it's really about all of the numbers, obviously, but coming it down to that life path number when you bring it all down to that 1. And I'm not sure if the ladies, you've ever experienced past lives, or it's something that you're open to, or it's something that you've looked at before. But a lot of the time with numerology, it can be connected to previous lives at different lessons. And each time we come back, we're going the next layer of that lesson. So it's like you might be a life path number 2 in one lifetime, and that's for all that decision making. Then you come back as a life path number 6, and it's about your self-confidence and your self-belief. Again, that's just, I know that's a little bit out there, but it's just another level of it to understand. Life path number 7. 7 is all about intuition, gaining knowledge, tuition from within. So a lot of people that would be a life path number 7, they might be teachers, they might be, it's very much about that medical connection as well, or the legal connection. So people who are life path number 7 might be a nurse or a doctor or a solicitor or barrister or legal secretary or a teacher or a trainer. So that's kind of all that knowledge, wanting the knowledge and then sharing the knowledge. Life path number 8 is all about balance and success. And the 8 is the power of 8 is all about that balance. And I want you to, if there's any ladies that are a number 8, be mindful that the 8 is like 2 circles on top of each other. And you know, the symbol of infinity with the number 8. It's just like getting everything into balance. But imagine the two circles, one representing your physical needs, you know, so money, food, clothes, you know, satisfaction from work, that kind of physical desires and needs. And then the other circle on the bottom, or whichever way you want to look at them, would be your spiritual needs, your fulfillment, your sense of autonomy. Isn't that how you'd say it? That whole kind of authenticity side of it. And often we're out of balance and we're like an upside down snowman. So the top part of it is like, oh, it's all about have to get the money, have to go to work, have to do this, have to do that, need to get, haven't got enough of this, want to buy more of this, all of that. And the spiritual needs become the little upside down snowman. Whereas the opposite is going to be difficult, you know, where we're not going to go and sit on a mountain for 20 days and meditate, as much as that might be nice. That's another extreme. So it's about getting the balance right. Yes, it's important to have food and clothes and money and a nice career and a nice home and all of that, but at what cost? So it's like bring it back into the sense of fulfillment. So 8 can bring about a very successful, I mean, the success right across the board, but it's a success number. So it's like people come back as a life path number 8 when they've kind of done a few of the other numbers where they want to get that balance and success right. And then you come to a life path number 9. I'm a life path number 9. 9 is all about spiritual connection for me as well. It resonates with me too, but it's the humanitarian side of it. It's the communicator side of it. It's also that kind of, the one thing with 9 is the ability to be able to let things go or not. Now, for me, for a long time, it was not letting things go, digging it up to see if it has a pulse, keep going back, like picking the scab off the sore, until I realized, let it go and let it flow. So it was one of the biggest challenges for me through understanding a life path number 9 was to let it go. Also, flipping that around to a positive, because if you can't let something go, you're holding on to it all the time. That takes something, doesn't it? So it takes determination and it takes focus and it takes resilience and it takes, you know, all of that. So switch it around. And when I switched that around for myself personally, I went, right, okay, you have focus, you have determination, you have resilience. You just don't have to spend it in the past. You can spend it in the present and move forward. So that was, for me, one of the breakthroughs I had with understanding numerology. And then we come to the life path number 11. Which, as I said, and do we have other 11s as well, don't we, in the group? Are they with us tonight?
Maureen's 11. Anybody
Excellent,
else
Maureen.
11? So myself and Maureen.
Excellent. Oh, twin flames. I'll tell you a funny story about a life path number 11. I have these 2 fabulous friends. They live in Mexico now.
Are all 11s fabulous?
Oh, fabulous. Oh, fabulous. And Sean, Colin and Sean, these 2 great guys, right? And many, many years ago, they lived in a castle in Kilkenny, a renovated castle. And it used to be my retreat when I was going through really difficult times. It was like the opposite to the Betty Ford clinic. You'd go in with all the bottles of Prosecco and you'd stay there for a weekend and that would be it. But I remember talking to Sean and he was a life path number 11 and he was a twin. So I did his numbers for him and we did it all out. And maybe about, God, when I think about it, it was probably about 13 years ago or so, maybe 15 years ago. And then I said to him, and what date is your brother's birthday? Well, he thought he was going to die laughing. He was like, same day as me, B, we're twins. I was like, right, okay, totally missed that one. Imagine saying to a twin, and what date is your brother's birthday? So he kind of went, I don't think you know what you're talking about here. And I was like, no, I do. That was just a natural question. But the number 11 is that visionary. It's that seeing the goodness in every situation. Possibly sometimes a little bit too much. There's a possibility that that goes too far. So it's like looking at the world through rose-tinted glasses and kind of putting other people maybe on a pedestal and going, oh, they're so good. Now, we can do that with others, but not at the detriment again of ourselves. So it's kind of like, put yourself on the pedestal, stand up and see yourself how you, if you were viewing you as somebody else, and how you'd see them. And the connection with spirit on that visionary level is really, really powerful. So it is such, I know it's a master number, but it's such, not that one number is better than the other at all in any way, but it's a very privileged, unique number to have, because every other time we add them up. So when you're looking at a life path number 11, absolutely there's going to be a connection with the life path number 2, because those two ones will be added. But there's also a connection with the life path number 1, because you have the 2 ones. And what can sometimes happen when you're a life path number 11, whether you are a twin or were a twin, you've got these 2 aspects of you almost all the time. And it's like, which aspect am I today, nearly? Do you know what I mean? When it's a decision making, you almost could go into being the 2, because you want to have the power of being able to make that decision. If it's an independence, I want to be decisive, I'm going to go in the 1 of that 11. When it's a spiritual connection and tuning in and being guided, I'm the 11. When it's looking at my amazing talents and ability, it's 11. And not the 2, because the 2 then will have this victim consciousness element to it. I'm not good enough, I can't make a decision, I don't know what to do. And I don't know if over the years you can resonate or connect with having those several aspects to that life path. Oh, somebody's just said, is that Sam?
Yeah, there's been some great questions. Sam was saying, imagine being a Gemini and an 11.
Wow. Whoa.
And then Alice was saying that my destiny expression number is 11/2, is very different to being a life path 11/2.
Yeah.
And the other question that was really interesting as well is that, are you more attracted to certain life path numbers?
Oh, now there's a great question.
There's a question that was from Sam.
That's a great question. And it's like, it's good to know. I mean, I'm single a long time. And I know a lot of it now has been by choice, because I read people without knowing I read them. And God love them, because they don't stand a chance. I mean, I'm like in there and go, have them in a you know, and it's kind of like, it was one of my go-tos if I was doing online dating, or if I met somebody for a date, and I'd be like, so when is your birthday? You know, and it was like, immediately calculating it all and going, right, okay, they're a life path number 7, they're in this year, they're going to have all these challenges, because they're not aware of numerology, so they have it in my head, so I'd have the whole thing calculated. My dream man, who's sitting in the vortex at the moment, just waiting to get himself, you know, sorted, I'm open to whatever his life path number is, but I'm hoping he's knowledgeable about it, so that he's done a little bit of awareness around it. And I think, you know, it's similar to astrology, where they say certain signs are compatible, and, you know, my mom and dad would be like that. Virgo, I think, and Pisces, very compatible. Obviously me being an Aries and a Capricorn was not compatible with my ex-husband, so that's fine. I'm grand with that. But it's like, it's more about an awareness of it. So that's an interesting question. And is Sam a Gemini and a life path number 11, or was that just imagine?
Sam, do you want to unmute yourself?
Hello. No, I'm a 3, but I'm a Gemini. So, but I was just listening to if you were an 11 and you got past to take, it might be confusing. But I'm a 3, and I live with a 3.
Oh, wow.
What sort
So
of?
we're very creative.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can see it even in your surroundings there. Very, very creative. That's brilliant. And
Yeah.
as well. So it's nice when you're, again, if you're with, funny, I would like to meet somebody who is a life path number 9 and have that same kind of connection that I have. But that's just for me personally. But as you have two with the same number and you're both coming from the same place, it must be nice to be able to do that creative expression. And without intruding, can I ask the question of, do you talk, do you communicate, can you express? And yeah, okay.
Yeah, do a lot of talking.
Great, brilliant.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, talk a lot. So, and creative music and poetry and songs and
beautiful.
Yeah,
that's really good. And that's filling your life purpose. It's like it's giving you that opportunity to connect with what feels right for you.
I think with if you're looking at numbers to see whether or not you're compatible with somebody or not, I think part of it is actually just understanding and that awareness of that number, so that if somebody is say quiet or shy, or that's more of their natural, that's one of their traits, or their, in their number, then instead of always trying to draw them out of themselves, you can actually understand that they like being on their own, or you need to give them a bit of space. Or if it was the opposite, like if somebody loves to go out all the time, but you're not necessarily that type of, you actually realize, we go out, but it doesn't, instead of arguing about it, you can kind of have more of an understanding and awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's where it will work. Tina had to pop off. She just said at 8:30, which I knew, but she's going to watch the rest of it on catch up. Yeah.
Okay, I know we've digressed a bit. I'll move into the personal year now, if that's okay.
So, but just before we do that, has anybody got any questions based on their own life path number? Eileen's putting her hand up. Yeah, Eileen, do you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, just a question. Funnily enough, myself and my husband were both 9s.
Wow.
And we gelled on just about everything. But the spiritual aspect of it, he kind of not pushed me, but he was happy to sing my praises, tell other people, on astrology, all this sort of thing. But it was something he feared, I think. Yeah. He'd say, he'd ask me things, and then when I answered, he'd go, right, stop, too much, you don't know. But it was quite, but yet he would go to other people, like I say, and say, oh, you speak to her,
Yeah.
But it's quite strange that he had that
fear
backing off from it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because with the 9, it is a very psychic number. It's a very, a spiritually connected number. Mm-hmm. So doing things like, did you say you are an astrologer?
Yes, I've done astrology, and I crystals, angels, and I'm a hypnotherapist. So all those sort of things,
that totally fits in with what a 9 is as well. So when you're doing what's right for you, you feel connected. A lot of counselors would be, and therapists would be possibly a life path number 9. You're just drawn to that kind of humanitarian side through communication, sharing. And so for your husband, it would have been a little bit, he was probably getting messages and seeing things and feeling things, and kind of not going in there because what's in there, and that's where the fear comes in. And you might find that he would have the number 4 somewhere in his life path. So that would bring in the fear of that as well. So they were probably at a battle with each other until he got more confident.
I understand what you say about it gives you that insight into yourself, because obviously that's what I found with astrology, just my own chart, and actually looking at it, I finally understood myself, why I did what I did, why I backed away from certain things. And I don't know, sometimes there's that little bit to use it as an excuse, but it does give you such a better understanding. And if people, like you say, when you met people, you'd find out the number, I would find out, their bits and pieces as well, and it was, whoa, no.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? And sometimes it's hard to switch that off because it's kind of part of who you are. And sometimes it's nearly, as I got older and more experienced about what I do, I end up being, I know Lavinia might find this hard to believe, but I sometimes stay very quiet in certain conversations because I'm like, I'm just going to let it go. Because if I get in there now, I'll either be working for the whole night because everybody will ask me to do their numerology reading, or I'll be trying to convince somebody who's not on the same frequency. So I just kind of go,
Don't
no.
do it.
Yeah.
But strangely enough, my husband was the one person that I met and never delved into his chart.
Wow.
Until long afterwards, and that I spent a lot of time watching him and got, yes, he's got Mars in such a sign. I could see from things he did, a lot of Capricorn there. So I knew where he was. And when I did his chart, it was quite satisfying that, got it.
So you're basically saying to him, I know you better than you know yourself.
Yes.
But just as what you said there, sorry, Lavinia, just what you were saying there, Eileen, about it could be sometimes knowing too much that it can be an excuse. I get that. But what I always try to flip it around and go, you know what, we have a choice. If we want to do something, we can do it. If we don't have to do it. So the choice, the knowledge we get from this gives us clarity of choice nearly. Yes. And then, hey, and if we don't do it, it's okay. But if we do and it works, we kind of go, well, I'm so glad I got that insight. That's and I took that. It allows us to be a little bit more confident nearly. Yes. And knowing, an inner knowing and what we want to do.
And actually, just what you were just what you were saying there about that, because again, with all of this, so there are loads of different ways to get to know yourself, numerology being one. Astrology, actually, Eileen, is another. If you were interested, we could do a little maybe session on astrology. We could. That would be fabulous. I might put that in, have to wingle that in. I was having a debate in my head. Should I say it to Eileen first on the here? And then I thought, no, I should message her privately, but I've said it. But the whole thing is, each of these things, so numerology is a map that we're being given. Astrology is another map that we have been given. There's many ways to get from A to B in life. So there's many ways that if you get into a car and you put in the destination. So if I go from Kent to Leeds, there's many ways. I could go straight on the motorway, and that will get me to Leeds. Or I could take a really scenic route, or I could take 3 days to get there. It's all, a different way. So I just think it's having all of these maps, you can actually have a look, and then the more you have, then the more you get to know yourself. And the other thing, B, that you said that I definitely think comes with awareness and growth is the more you, when you're new to something, when you're starting off, I used to spend a lot of time, I've said to you before, Graham is medical. So when I used to go out, and I used to have a corporate career many years ago, but when I start doing all of this woo-woo stuff, and then I'd go out somewhere and somebody say, what do you do? I would go into the science behind it, that backed it up and everything. And I tried to convince everybody, because I was with these medical people that, now I say nothing, absolutely nothing. What you do? Oh, I just do different things. I do help people get more balance in their life. That's all I say. I say nothing else. And then people say, how do you do it? I said, oh, there's various different things. But then they're asking, as opposed to me trying to convince. But now I don't feel the need to convince, because that was all to do with me. It was nothing to do with them. It was me trying to make me feel that I'm still an important, person doing something. Whereas now I don't really care. And I definitely never, ever, ever try to convince somebody that they should be doing something. I say there are tools here. They've really worked for me personally, and they've worked for other people. But if they're not for you, because if people aren't ready, you might as well be banging your head against a brick wall. So, yeah.
And even on that, when people would ring me, particularly whether it's for coaching or for a numerology reading, they'd ring and they'd say, I got your number from it. My husband could do with a bit of coaching. Can I get him a voucher? I'm like, no. Well, could you do a numerology reading for my daughter from somebody else? I'm like, no, it's not if you tell them about it and they want to do it, and then you get them a voucher, absolutely, but not the other way around, because you know, you cannot make somebody be ready. When you're ready, you're ready.
That's it.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. This is excellent. I know we're going over time. So
we're actually all right, I think, because we've been asking some questions ago. I don't know whether you want to do, let's see, a lot of people are saying, yes, Eileen, to the astrology. We'll have to get up, we'll have to have a chat.
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you'd like Eileen to be an expert on astrology one night.
No,
my question,
Eileen.
are there any other people that do astrology in the group?
No, you're the expert. This group is full of very, very, very experienced people in lots of different areas. Really is. This group is a very, you know, the way they say, what do they say, that your tribe or something about your tribe or something, but this group is a very strong group for personal growth and development. So it's a, not just saying it, but it is a really good group to be in. I think, you know, there will be lots of growth for everybody and lots of learning and sharing. It's amazing.
Brilliant.
So do you want to do the personal year?
I was just about to say that, because I think that might be, you know, give an interest to everybody. So this is where your pen and paper comes out. So what you're going to do is, to get your personal year is calculated from your last birthday. So if your birthday is still to happen, so if your birthday is going to happen before in December, or anytime in December, your last birthday will have the year 2019. But if your birthday happened from the 1st of January up to now, it will have 2020 as the year. So for example, across the top of your page, you're going to have your date of birth, the day you were born, the month, and the year of your last birthday. So it might be 2019 or it might be 2020. So for example, I'll do mine here just to show you. I don't know if anybody will see it on this, but this is how I would write the numbers out. So 2020. So on the 24th of the 3rd is my birthday, and 2020. So I had my birthday in March, just a week into lockdown, and it was great. And then you add them up, and there's you know, the reduction down of the numbers. So 2 and 4 becomes 6, 0 and 3 becomes 3, 2 and 0 becomes 2, and 2 and 0 becomes 2. So this is a very powerful part of 2020, having these two twos at the other end. So then you'll put a line under that, and then you'll add the first 2 digits here. So I have 6 and 3, which is 9, and 2 and 2, which is 4. So under the line, I have 9 and 4. Now, this is where we bring it to the single digit, because again, we're in the personal year. So 9 and 4 for me becomes 13, which is 1 and 3, which becomes 4. But it's important to notice that, and just kind of have on the side that 1 and 3, because they do play an aspect in my personal year 4, but they're not the main focus, because I'm in personal year 4. So it's like, now if you had a 2 and a 2 there, and you had the focus was year 4, then there'd be no focus on 1 and 3, if that makes sense. So when you find out your personal year, again, I'm very much a pen and paper person, a scribble person, but I will do a line then underneath that has year 1, and this is like your timeline, year 1 right across, and write year 9 at the other side. So it's just a line across year 1 at the front and year 9. And what you're going to do is, on that timeline, you're going to plot where you are. So if you put a line down the middle, that's going to be the halfway mark. We call that year 5. Now, if you're in year 5, that's exactly where you're going to plot it. But for me in year 4, I'm going to put it a little bit to the left. So I have my timeline, year 1 to year 9. There's the halfway mark, year 5, and I'm in here at year 4. Now, if you're year 5 or year 6, you're going to put it after here, or you might be year 1, it's going to stay here, or you might be in year 9. It just depends on your own personal birth dates. So when you discover what year you're in, very similar to what we talked about with the life path numbers, each year, so we have somebody there, Alice is in year 9, each year has a different focus. Sam is in year 6. Okay, so plot your years on your timeline there. So each year has a different focus. Lavinia is in number 1. Why am I not surprised, Lavinia? Life path 11 in year 1.
I'm being thick. I can't work mine out.
What's your date of birth? When was your last birthday?
So
Sorry, yeah.
11/2/2020.
So the 11th, this is phenomenal. You do know that this is very powerful. You've got 11 of February, yeah? 11/02/2020. So you're all the 2s. This is a big year for you, Nicola. I don't know if you're, well, I'm sure you're
What
probably...
has been? What, this year or next year?
This year, right up to your birthday now in February, right up to the 10th of February.
2021.
So you've got lots of nearly like jumping into the master numbers, even though you're not in the master numbers, but a little bit like that, because when you look at, you're in year 8, so you've got all 2s. I mean, you're the 11th, but remember what we said about 11 is like 1 and 1. So you've got across the top 2, 2, 2, 2. On the second line, 2, 2, 2, 2. Those 2 and 2 becomes 4. So you've 4 and 4 on the bottom.
Wow.
You've an 8.
Wow.
It's a big year for you, Nicola. And it's probably coming from, there's a lot of choices and decisions maybe going on for you at the moment. And can I maybe say that there's maybe a little bit of hesitance on some of it? You're a bit fearful about maybe some of the decisions that you're making? Maybe?
Yeah. Can I ask, sorry, just to be clear, so you know when you're saying it's a big year, do you mean up until the next birthday? Is that what you mean?
Your year is, so when everybody says to January, Happy New Year, that's great, but it's not your new year if your birthday is on the 1st of February, or your birthday like me is on the 24th of March. If your birthday's on the 1st of January, yes, Happy New Year, that's going to be yours. So your new year starts on your birthday, so that will run to your next birthday. So this year the focus is all on balance and success, by breaking through some fear barriers around financial security, setting the foundations for the future, all of that. Also around choices, decisions, and relationships. And always remember, the most important relationship you will have is with yourself.
Is with yourself.
So you're doing a lot of discovery, I would imagine, at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can I just say, woo woo?
What happens if you're doing your personal year and it comes to an 11? Do you just go on to 2 on that, or do you keep that as an 11? You know the way you...
Yeah. Are you life path number 11, Maureen?
No, I'm life path 11. But my year isn't 11, but I was just doing...
Are you just... sorry,
and
just asking me a question just for the sake of asking a question?
No, I just want to know what year he's in.
Oh, sorry, who's this? Is this for Sean?
No, yeah.
Okay, so when was his birthday?
No, I have he's a 5, right?
Okay.
But he's in a year 11.
I don't know how you could get that, so tell me what his date of...
31st of 3rd, 2020.
Okay, so let me just see there. So yeah, we've got 4 lines. Okay, so 3 and 1 is 4, 0 and 3 is 3, then we've the 2 and the 2, and then we get... sorry, we do. I'm so used to jumping into
maybe it's my calculation.
No, you have it right, but I'm so used to jumping into that, because I would know that's because we don't have a personal year 11, it's a 2. So it runs from 1 to 9, but it's very similar to where you do if he was a life path, we'd leave that at 11.
Okay, but
right,
that was life not. Path.
Because it's a year, it'll go to a 2. So he's in year 2. Again, probably very much about choices and decisions for him. I don't know if he's got a lot of deciding of things to do at the moment, but it might be sitting in around that for him as well.
Yeah. That's so good, kiddo.
No problem at all, Momo.
Has everybody been able to work out what year they're in? Yeah.
2020.
Anybody got any questions about their year that they're in?
Oh, I haven't. Yeah. Sorry, my internet connection went.
Okay.
So I haven't actually been able to work it out. So.
Okay. So what is if you give B your birthday?
So I'm 31/8/2020.
Okay. 31st of August 20. So what year you're in on your 9-year cycle. So that's 12, which is 3. So you're in, Julia, you're in year 7 of your current 9-year cycle.
Okay.
Okay, so what?
And what does that mean, V?
So 7, yeah, 7 is all about gaining knowledge and insight. So I don't know whether you've decided you want, well, I mean, obviously you're doing this course here, but have you decided to, you know, return to learning some skill or doing a course or something, gaining knowledge or insight?
Well, I think just by taking this up, really, I was saying last week I wanted to start learning a bit about myself. So I guess
that's it. And it's also very much a year 7. Every year has 12 months, as we know. But in the 9-year cycle, year 7 can feel like it's a little bit longer than the. Now, I'm not saying that for you to go, oh my God, have I got like so long? Because you'll still have your birthday on the 31st of August, 2021.
Yeah.
But the connection is because there's a reasoning behind the sense of it feeling longer, is because it really is about gaining insight and knowledge and having patience. And the patience is the testing of it. You know, it's like, I know we often go, I just want this all to be wherever it is. But if somebody said to you, do you want to eat all the food that you're going to eat for the rest of your life tomorrow? You're going to say, no, I want to enjoy it over a certain amount of time. I don't want to have it all together. So the knowledge and the insight, Julia, it takes time to come and blossom. So that's what year 7 is about. There's also, there might be things like maybe something legal, like maybe a document or something like that might come up in year 7. So follow that through and have that. And yeah, it's just really the focus is about listening to your gut instinct and going with that. And often when we test our intuition, we test it by not following it, which is fine, because we learn then, well, if I listened, I would be here. And that allows us to grow with that knowledge of being able to tune into our intuition. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
Excellent.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
Does it make it more significant when, like this year, my year number is the same 9?
Yeah. So excellent question, Eileen. So year 9 and a life path number 9, you are in your life path year. So when we have the lessons, and I'm going to, so in year 9, did I tell you? I didn't tell you what year 9 was about, but year 9 is the ending of the 9-year cycle. So what date was your birthday?
24th of August.
Okay, so you're a little bit into it now. So this is year 9. 9 is all about wrapping up what's been done in the previous 8 years. So it's kind of coming to certain things will fade away and they'll be finished, and it's making room for new things to come. In year 9, not much grows in year 9. You know, it's all about the thinking, the planning, the sowing the seeds, the preparation, so that you can spring into year 1 next year. 9 as a life path number is that humanitarian, that connection. But also, I don't know if you resonated with what I was saying earlier on about not being able to let things go in the past.
Oh, yes.
So what happens in year 9, a lot of things that we haven't let go come back again. Just to say, do you want to let us go now?
Yeah.
And the choice, and what happens in a life path number 9, in a year 9, that's that double number again. It's going to come back in kind of emphasized. And with your knowledge and awareness that you already have, it's a great opportunity, Eileen, to let go anything that no longer serves you. It's a great year to do an emotional declutter and a physical declutter. Just let it go, let it go, let it go. Because the energy that it takes to hold on to stuff, it starts to go, it gets carried into next 9-year cycle. So year 1 will be focused on something else. Year 2 will be on something else, and year 3. It will take until you're in year 9 again to really get that stuff gone. So it's up to you. You know, it's back to that choice. Can you work on letting it go through the year 9, or you know, is there? Sometimes we have an element of security when we hold on to things. I understand that, But if it's not serving us, let it go. Because do you really want to wait 9 years to look at it again and then let it go? You know, it's like, get
And
rid of it.
is there any significant that with it in that number 9 this year, I have 3 2s?
Yes. So the 2s are all about choices and decisions. So it might be that, and relationships. And it could be that there's some challenges around letting go certain things around relationships. Maybe something from the past is bringing itself up. The 2s, again, it's about if you can stand in your power, if you can be connected to the spiritual connection that you have, that protection from angels, you're never alone, you're protected the whole time, and handing it over any challenges around choices or decisions or relationships, just go with your gut and go, you know, I'm guided. The right answer is here. I know what to do. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I just ask something quickly? As you've just said about the 9 and the 9, for me, my life path as 5, now I know I'm in year 8.
Yeah.
What would there be anything significant in the 5, in my year 5 of the past 3 years ago?
Yeah, 3 years ago. 3 years ago, you were in year 5 and a life path number 5.
Yes.
And this is the same for everybody. When you're in your life path year, so whatever your path is, so for Lavinia and Maureen's life path number 11, their life path year is going to be year 2. That's where we have that kind of crossover with it, because we don't have, their personal year, life path year will be in year 2 because we don't have a year 11. We only go up as far as year 9. But for you, Nicola, year 5 is your personal year number. If somebody's a year 8 is going to be personal life year number for their life path number. So when you're in the year that's your life path, it's like a clashing of symbols come in. It's like, now, what is the lesson that we want from a life path perspective, but also the year that gives you the opportunity to really grasp it. So if you think back to this time 3 years ago, you would have been, let me see, year 7. Yeah, so 3 years ago, you would have been in year 5, which was all about constructing your own freedom and embracing the fear of change. So I don't know whether there was big changes happened in that year.
Yeah, huge.
No surprise there. So the big changes, and then, you know, and this is the thing about understanding numerology, ladies. It gives so much clarity. You know, no matter when you discover it, you can always look back and go, well, that was when I was in year 1, that makes sense. That was when I was in year 2, that makes sense. When I was in year 9, that makes sense.
I have huge clarity from all that you said tonight, which is really good.
And Alice asked a question which I think you've just answered, because Alice said next year she's going into a personal year 1, and she's a life path 1. So you've just, I think, answered that question.
So just to kind of give a synopsis over the personal years, ladies, year 1 is the beginning of the 9-year cycle. So what usually happens in year 1 is it's like a whole new beginning, new energies, new ideas, new adventures, new experiences, but it's also sowing the seeds for what you want to reap the rewards in. So year 2 is about choices and decisions, and relationships. So sometimes in year 2, you start a relationship, you end a relationship, you discover a relationship about yourself. Sorry, excuse me. There's a lot of energy going on here. If you could see what's happening in front of me now. Ooh, we've got lots going on. So it's lovely. It's all kind of coming into, lovely. If you were in if you're in personal year 3 is all about creativity. That's the year to write the book, to get all the stuff together that you want to do on a creative level. It's also a year that could possibly be challenging because we're not expressing ourselves. So we may have the opposite to that. Year 4 is the foundation year. So it's like thinking ahead of what you want to see, but 4 is like putting the foundations under the big house. You know, it's like what I want to see happening. 4 is also a year that can either be very challenging around finances or very abundant, depending on what way we're thinking, on the awareness that we have. Year 5, as Nicola pointed out there, halfway mark, big changes and embracing those changes without fear. Year 6 is a year, there's somebody in here, sorry, I just have to clear this. I'm going to blow these out for a second. Somebody's trying to get a message across.
Bring it on.
Who is it?
What is it? What are they saying? Who are they talking to? There's a lot of the people that are on this screen right now. There's some serious energetic workers on this screen.
Yeah.
It's like the who's who of energy work is here. There's a lot of energy going on.
It sure is. And I think there's a real lightness to this, and it's like there's a message for us all, and it's really, it's so light, ladies. It's like, and I know you'll resonate with this, Lavinia, because I know you love lightness and laughter and fun. And it's just saying, please bring that back. Bring that back. Bring that joy, that happiness, that sense of, Jesus, we're amazing women. You know, we can do anything that we want to do. And if you're coming from the energy that's clarity for you, no matter what you want to put your mind to, you can do it. And I think that's huge. It's really strong, that message, right? Really, there's a gang load of them in here. And
so we all say a big yes to that. Yes.
Yes.
Amen.
Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. He came in.
I sense it's Margaret. I sense it's Margaret Nayland just popping in to kind of definitely. Oh yeah, okay, Margaret.
Okay.
It is. Margaret. Yeah.
That's
just
lovely. That is.
Yeah, she's just coming in to kind of go, here I am. That's fabulous. So sorry, that was year 5. Did I get to year 6? Yeah, year 6 is about if anybody is in year 6 or coming towards year 6 or has come out of year 6. 6 is very much about your self-confidence and your self-belief. And it's a real strong year for being, this is me. It's there. The confidence, the belief, the sense, the inner confidence that doesn't need to be even, expressed. It's like, it's a knowing. Year 6 can do that as well. And also it's very much about that self-talk and what we're saying to ourselves. Because that's really, really important. Year 7, as I was saying to Julia there, very much about gaining knowledge, insight. It's the time. Thank you, Alice. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Everybody's enjoying it. Me too. I'm having a great buzz. Year 7, gaining that knowledge and insight, patience, intuition, all of that. Year 8 is the balance. Remember what I said about the 2 circles on top of each other. In the 9-year cycle, as Nicola is in year 8, it's that kind of getting that balance. It's not all about the physical, practical things. It's also about how we're feeling. And year 9, as Eileen is in, it's the end of that 9-year cycle. So there's something really important for you to all know about your personal year. It runs in a spring, summer, autumn, winter. Now, honest to God, I could do a session just on the spring, summer, autumn, and winter. So, there's a lot to do with numerology, but just getting the insight and starting to practice it will be very beneficial. So the first day of your birthday, for the 3 months after that, you're in your spring. After that, there's the summer, and then the third 3 months, you're in your autumn, and then the final 3 months, you're in your winter. So, for example, let me see. Nicola, you're coming to the winter of your year. Yep. Okay, you're possibly in your winter, actually, because the February is your spring. Now, it may not be like spring when you look outside on the 10th of February, but it's your spring.
I feel that.
Okay. So if you're feeling the winter at the moment and you just kind of want to take a duvet day or you want to just chill, do that. Listen to your body.
No, I feel that I'm in spring. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, you see, do you?
What did you just say about this? You just said you might feel like it's blah 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 outside, but you're actually in the.
So you're in the winter.
I am in the winter. Yeah.
And on your birthday on the 10th of February, you'll go into your spring.
Yeah.
And then you'll have year 9 of your spring.
Yeah.
So winter.
Yeah.
So everybody has. You can check at any one time what year you're in to know what season you're in that year.
So
for me,
what's the relevance of the season then? Is it like good and bad, or like trying or not, or
so very good.
changing?
The seasons work with how you work around the lessons of that year and how you plan your year. So in the spring, you're going to sow the seeds. It's like outside. If you sow the seeds in the spring, you'll see some things flourishing in the summer. Not everything will flourish, but the certain things that will flourish will become like your harvest in the autumn. And then your winter is your time to kind of rest. Not much grows in winter. Physically, you look at it from a planting point of view. Put that into an ideas point of view or an action point of view. Sorry, I'm sucking on this because Margaret was in giving it all. You're going to have maybe whatever your life changes that you're doing or things like that, or plans that you have. If you decide, I want to, let's take what Lavinia's talking about with this pillar. It's all about self-discovery and looking more about who you are. Let's say you decide to do that at the beginning of your year. You start sowing seeds of that. So you start doing a few different things that are different. You'll see results in your summer. Oh, wow. I'm feeling much better. Or I'm really glad I've put myself first, or I've discovered more about me. Then you go into your autumn and you actually see the results of it. And then in your winter, you're like, right, okay, this is all good. Or you might want to, basically what it's saying as well, when we have that knowledge, Nicola, not much grows in winter. So when you want to start something new, don't start in the winter, start in the spring. And if you take it in the spring, then try it in the summer.
Yeah.
When it's a bit of a chance. So that's one aspect of it. So your personal year has your spring, your summer, your autumn, and your winter. And not that this is not going to confuse it, but it just adds another layer. The 9-year cycle has a spring, a summer, an autumn, and a winter.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I know we could keep you here. It's 9 o'clock. We could keep you here all night. It has been, I know everybody will agree that it has been absolutely fantastic. And just listening to you talk to like the few people that ask questions, I mean, there may be people, I know I'm definitely interested, who might be interested in having a full kind of numerology reading. So can they contact you, B, or?
So a full numerology reading takes about between 60 and 90 minutes. And it would be a little bit more detailed, obviously, to what we talked about, but it still would be the 3 numbers: personal year, life path, and inner need, which we didn't even get to touch on today, but that's another number in it as well.
I was going to ask about sorry, I was going to write about the inner needs number as well, actually, sorry.
So what we can do, I can just tell you how to figure it out, and then in the group during the week, anybody can ask me any questions on it. Absolutely. The inner need comes from the vowels in your name. So the 5 vowels, if you want to write these down, A, E, I, O, U, and I'll give you the numbers that they each represent. So there's
a song, A, E, A, E, I, O, U. We're
like the Nolan sisters.
Okay, somebody is asking, you're married or your maiden name?
Very, very good question. I remember probably about 10 years ago getting a call from 98 FM. They were doing something about changing your name when you got married. And I was like, get me on there quick, because everything changes if you change your name. So you could have totally different numbers if you shorten your name, if you use a maiden name, or you use a married name. And the great thing about numerology is, if you decide which number resonates better with you, go with that. That's why I changed my name. So A-E-I-O-U. A is number 1. E is number 5. I is number 9. O is number 6. And U is number 3. And basically take some time after this, or you can do it as I'm talking, add up your
surname
to get a single digit. So for me,
those A, I'll just put them in the chat. A is number 1.
A is 1, E is 5.
Yeah.
I is 9. I is 9. It sounds so wrong, isn't it? I is 9.
I is 9, you as well. You is good.
U is 3. O is 6 and U is 3.
U is 3 and O is 6. Okay.
So AEIOU.
Do you use your full name?
Again, another question there, Eileen. It depends. So for you, Eileen, you have a lot of E's there. So you have EILEEN. So
Mhm.
the 3 E's at 5 would be 15, and 1 and 5 is 6. And then you have the I, which is 9. So 9 and 6 is 15, which is 6. So your actual name, Eileen, is 6. And then you decide what surname you're using with that, or how you're using that.
What about if you have a middle name? Do you include, or just the name you actually use?
Yeah. So for me, you know, B Flanagan, it was mad that I changed my name to B, because I actually created a number 4 that was going to be a challenge for me, Eileen, but I love nothing better than a challenge. But I knew it was going to be what I needed to do, because as Bernadette, personally, I had too many 5s, and it was causing me, and it was just causing me, I was a different person. I was following a different path, and it wasn't the one that was meant for me. So when I changed it to B, and not B just as the letter, I needed the 2 E's, because they became 1, and then Flanagan, the 3 A's became 3, and 1 and 3 was 4.
So if you work out your number for your Christian name and your number for your surname, and then you say you add those 2 numbers together, is that what you're saying?
Yes. So you'll come to a 1-digit number. So again, thanks for putting it in the chat, Lavinia, because people can work it out whenever, if they can't do it now at any stage. But it's just, that's kind of where you get your mojo from, is from your name. You know, your spirit chose to be born on the day that it was born, but understanding the inner need that you have and where that's coming from. Sam, I'm a 4-2 as well. There's no surprise there, is there, ladies? The crossover
I am as well. Then I think I'm a 4. If I use my married name, although I am divorced, but I'm still of that same name.
Okay.
And I'm sticking with that name.
Sometimes you can have 2 different names and it still be the same number. Do you know what I mean? So it's the makeup of it. So you might have the same number, but you might have more E's or more A's, and then you have more of those letters and those numbers that change things as well. Like this
in Ireland, they give out, like, so my mom, in Ireland, we like to take as many names as possible. We take a communion name, a confirmation name, everything. My mum's name is Mary Christine. Mary, now nobody calls her Mary, everybody calls her Marie. Another interesting thing, Mary Christina, Frances, Anne, it just goes on.
It's so funny, isn't it? But it doesn't, you know, for the insight with this, it doesn't mean you all have to change your name or shift it. It's more to understand what's coming from it. And if you want to, for me, it was really strong that I changed my name. And I mean, I couldn't have my business What Will Be with Bernadette. I mean, it had to be What Will Be with B. That was how it was working, you know, or Be Entertained, or, you know, Be the Difference. It was never going to be anything else. But what's really funny is when I meet people that I would have known from 20 or 25 years ago, and they say, "Oh, hi, Bernadette, how are you?" And they might even be my friend on Facebook. And I'm like, seriously, who is that person? It's not me. And I just know that they have been not part of my life path. And maybe that's fine, but they wouldn't know that I've changed my name, and that's where I am with it. But with the, I know, and this is back to, yes, Sam, I will get the lotto numbers. You know, an uncle of mine passed away just before he'll be 10 years dead in April, just before my 40th birthday, or just after it. He couldn't come to the party, but he came through, and sometimes a few different places I was, and I'm part of a spiritual group, and it came through, and I said, his name was Frank. I said, Frank, all I want is the lotto numbers. Could you just pass them on to me over from beyond? You must have that. And he loved playing the lotto, and he actually won big money one year. He shared it with everybody, but it came back through the person who was doing the reading, and they said he's falling around the place laughing, and he says, no chance, you're going to have to figure it out yourself. And I just thought it was so funny, because it is life, isn't it? We've got to figure it out ourselves. The answers aren't always there to be presented. It's more the discovery of it, I think.
Well,
that
I
help.
have to say, B, that tonight, I think you've given us all something to go away to help us all to figure it out a little bit more. And again, you know, that was my intention when I kind of set this month up. And I can't, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to thank you so much. And on behalf of everybody else, it has just been amazing. And I really feel that everybody will have got something from it. If they only got a laugh, that's good enough.
And remember, just have the patience to get that intuitiveness and get that connection. Everything is meant to be exactly as it is, and it's all happening at the right time for you.
Totally.
The right way, and just tune into what's right for you. That's all we can do.
Yeah. So on that note, I'm going to let you go because we've already taken up 10 minutes more of your time, but thank you so much. And what an apt name, what will be from Bernadette.
Exactly.
No,
May
that's
well
brilliant.
my alter ego, so you know, please don't call me Bernadette. My poor dad found a relic to Saint Bernadette, and he was going to the hospital to see me, and he said to my mom, "You have to call her Bernadette," and she was like, "No, everyone's going to shorten it and call her Bernie," and he was like, "No, we'll stick to it." I'm sure I got rid of it all altogether. But thanks, Lavinia, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, and
Thank you.
anybody that thinks of any questions afterwards, just put them in the group, and we will get them answered for you all. Yeah.
Super.
Thank you.
Mwah, mwah.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Julia. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.